Welcome to Gold Rush, where we only pick out the most valuable bits.
Ender's Games Clovis. Round 3, top table, last event of Season 5, most likely. We have Bob and Mitchell going at it with their favorite factions. The last round ends up being the Winds of Winter. We'll get some commentary about that later. And then they did the battlefield layout terrain. And in this last match, we have the Weirwood Clearing. So we have Bob and Mitchell coming in to take it away. Hope you guys enjoy.
So chose this list because my other list is a War Machines list that's very focused on killing units at a distance, which is great for against most factions. Greyjoys have a very unique and special ability with Balon. And so killing a unit from across the board means he just respawns right next to your War Machines, at essentially the start of the next turn. And so a War Machine list running into Greyjoys is tricky. So I have a vets list, which is what I ran against Mitchell here. That's a little bit more defensive and focuses a lot on weakening opponents in Counter-Strike, because Greyjoys typically don't have great armor saves. So the idea is that you're taking more hits on your turn than you're giving me, or at least that's the hope. Between the weakened tokens, Cold Hands' ability, and Destruct Counter-Strike on all the units, along with Dennis Mallister and Jaqen passing out more weakened tokens. The idea is that you're going to stay weakened most of the game, and you're going to be taking more hits than you get when you attack. That's the hope.
All right. Well, so this is my Theon Mass Sentinel list, and I chose it because it has a lot more mobility than my other list, and for Winds of Winter, I really felt like I needed it just to get across the board, get that 2-point in the deployment zone score. And then it also has that ranged option for both of Bob's lists, because, the stone throwers, you don't want to have to go through everything to get to them. You kind of just want to start shooting as soon as you can. But also against all of his Counter-Strike and Disrupt, the guns are a great option. So I definitely made sure to take this one just so I could have option for both lists. I figured he's bringing Alistair Thorne because it is his anti-Greyjoy list, and it kind of cuts me up, and it definitely did a lot of that. But yeah, that's basically the whole list. Just lots of Sentinel, lots of moves whenever he attacks me, so I've always got more angles on him, and I've got lots of answers for whatever he tries to do.
So I deployed this way. Typically, the deployment with this list is more or less the same, depending on what your opponent's running. But typically, you're going to deploy 3 vets in front with Cold Hands in the back. You want to give yourself enough lane between each of the vets to where you can fit Cold Hands in there, that solo tray, if you need to move them up for some reason. But the idea being that the very first attack that they're going to be doing against you, ideally, is going to be Raven Flocked and Counter-Struck and Disrupted. And so you have Cold Hands there for support, for counter charges if needed, but mostly there to do Raven Flock. If you're playing a really heavy cav list, I might put Cold Hands in between the trays rather than behind, to protect them a little bit more from getting popped by a cav charge. But typically, you're going to see, because it's 3 vets, the only question is where Alistair and Sandor go, because they're the ones that both have Threaten. So you want to at least try to match up. In this case, I was trying to match up the Threaten with the crossbows, knowing that he's going to be pinging me at distance, and that's going to kind of goes against the strategy of my list. So as much as possible, I wanted to try to keep the crossbows weakened while sort of enticing his units to come charge me. So that's why you're seeing this deployment.
Cool. All right. So my deployment is pretty typical of what I do with this list. I usually like to put the trappers down the center, and then wherever I kind of see them lining up, I try to put the rest of the list off to the other side so I can kind of wrap around with my better mobility. But the goal is to get the trappers between his units and my crossbows so that I can take pot shots whenever he attacks the trappers, because Jokin's in there and Witter is just going to say, hey, go kill those guys. And then, as they attack, Sentinel triggers, I get more moves or even some charges. So I definitely want to try to wrap around getting their flanks and rears on this list. So that's kind of why I do this deployment. Just wheel it.
I think when you're positioning round one, if you're a new player and you're facing an archer across the board, 14 and a half inches is your friend. So make sure you're 14 and a half away from whatever archer units across the board so they're not getting free shots on you. Because remember, if you're first player, first round, and you're equally activated, that means they're going to get to go twice in a row. So they'll shoot you, and then they'll shoot you again at the start of the next round. And I've had units popped against me early on in the game for a bonehead march early on, and it can sneak up on you. So especially when you have that archer unit that you know is going to be able to start hitting you, you want to prevent them from getting free hits on swords with your archer unit. So in this case, my thinking is, okay, well, if he's willing to trade the point for the attack, then I think that's a fair trade for me, right? So now he's, in that zone, he's easily able to attack me. So it's like, okay, if you do want to attack me, that's fine, but I'm going to get a point for him.
So I noticed at the start of this round, Bob was very central and couldn't really get to objectives. I kind of wanted to force his hand, make him play the objectives a little bit more, make him come to me. So I wanted to, because I was already in position to take 3, so I wanted to force his hand a bit and make him play the game that I want to play, which is where he attacks me and then I do fun things.
Yeah, it's fun, right? Both of our lists want to attack, right? And so it is a version of this matchup here is, person who attacks first loses to some degree. Mitchell has a slight advantage, though, because he can hit me from afar, and I can't do much about it, right? I just have to keep taking shots, and I heal pretty well with Aim-In and Night's Watch cards. And I'm doing what I can to weaken that unit to mitigate the damage. But he's in this kind of standoff. He has probably a 60-40 advantage because of that ranged unit.
You can't.
Yeah, I'll just say this. I mean, we can talk about it specifically with this game. You'll see later on that I'm doing a lot of decision making about, do I charge? Mitchell ends up taking that point on the bottom left there. And I could easily charge him with cold hands. It's auto win. Easily charge him with cold hands and contest the point. He doesn't score it because, again, solo tray, 4 wounds versus 3 ranks. He doesn't score. But at that point, I go up by 1, and then Mitchell would get to go first next round. I'm currently going first the next round. And this game mode in particular bothers me. It's kind of my least favorite game mode for this exact card and the score 2 points in the deployment zone card. That one is less irritating. I think 2 points is a lot to score. I think it should be 1 point for up to 2 units kind of a thing. But whatever, like that's manageable. But the going first card, as we all know, like if you played this game, going first is just a tremendous advantage once you get later on in the game. You can set the momentum for the whole round. You can pop a tray. Like there's so much stuff that can happen if you get a chance to go first. And from a game theory perspective, I personally dislike when you go against what the game wants you to do. So in this case, the game wants you to score points, right? You win by scoring victory points in this game. And that one card says, well, wait a minute, maybe you don't want to score victory points. And so it makes you do, as a player, unnatural things to not score in order to not give your opponent that huge advantage to go first twice in a row. And so for me, that card in particular is a little bit irksome because it goes against the DNA of the game, which is score as much as you can. And so now you're in this position where you're intentionally not scoring to not give your opponent that chance, which is exactly what happened in this round. I had decided to ultimately not charge that unit, so Mitchell then wouldn't get to play that card. And now he's scoring a point, essentially, that I could have contested, and I chose not to because of this external kind of mission card. So it's part of the game. Everybody gets the chance to use it. I use it against him later. But it is something about this game mode that I think goes against the spirit of the game. What's funny about that is that, Mitchell, great design on his list here and great placement of his units. You don't really want to attack anything, right? I had an easy charge on that unit, which would normally I think they're a 5-8 or a 6-8 defense. So normally you would throw vets into them and not even blink. But with crossbows and Widower there, suddenly you're like, man, I don't even want to attack this unit. I'm just going to get on the point and secure the point because as Mitchell played the card that's scoring points for the round.
If he does attack the unit, if he does charge the unit, sure, he's on the point, and I'm taking a lot of damage. then Widow gets to shoot. Asha gets his Sentinel right up to his flank, and then charge the next turn with Gang Up in his flank, and that's probably death.
Oh, for sure. And so it's a well designed list in that you're again not wanting to attack each other, and so a very very flimsy unit that you would normally not even think twice about attacking, suddenly you're getting countercharged into oblivion.
Now that Asha was engaged, I need to get somebody else engaged with them, and that could have either been Theon, but he wasn't. He already activated. Horses was already taken, so I couldn't get him into anywhere. But I could move the trappers and make them see Sanders' unit so that I could come in maybe next round.
With knowing I'm going first next round now, right? The hope is that I get into the crossbows flank, I think, and charge them. I don't want the crossbows continuing to just pop units at short range. I want to force them to retreat, so that way they're hitting at long range at least, so they're not getting those rerolls on the attack. I don't mind if he retreats, uses swords to kill cold hands or whatever, or uses his activation, because that essentially removes the crossbows from the game for an entire round, right, as he's dealing with cold hands. So I'm sort of trying to harass the crossbows with cold hands here. Very first thing I'm going to do is activate cold hands and do something with them. So and he's probably going to want to take swords at that point, because maybe he wants to hit something or whatever. I just know that in likelihood I probably won't be grabbing swords this round. And so I'm just feeling like it would be good to score if he does.
I think I just activate the crossbows and I retreat. Asha was engaged, and Theon wasn't in position to charge that unit, so I needed trappers engaged. And there was that little window between Alistair's unit and Cold Hands where I could just pivot, charge, line up, and get engaged. And I had What Is Dead in hand, so I didn't care about any reprisal, because it's going to take some damage on going in. I knew that. Maybe I'd do some damage, but at least Asha would be engaged for a gang up, so I could start tearing through Sander. But what I didn't expect is just to have 8 dice on me, which I actually didn't want. I really would have rather had 6 dice, because most of those are going to come right back at me and going to fail them. But I also didn't realize Alistair's card that makes me take more damage.
Yeah, it's probably one of the reasons I also took letters earlier. The combo of this deck with Alistair in particular, he has a card. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but he has a card that essentially says after this attack is done, your opponent takes 2 hits per rank remaining on the unit. And so if you do it right, you should still have full ranks, right? That unit's weakened, they're disrupted, maybe you Raven flock them with cold hands, and suddenly they're going to take 4 or 5 hits back from Counterstrike, and then another 6 from the card. So suddenly on a single turn, you're dealing 11 hits on their turn back to them, while you take maybe 2 or 3 wounds. So that was the intent there, and I think it messes up his unit pretty good. But I
really should have.
I think he takes 10
at the start of this turn, and I really thought about it, and I really should have, but I decided against it. Thought I might need it later, but I do end up taking 10 wounds from it.
10 wounds. I just noticed. I'm like, I can't tell where your wounds are, but there's a little empty guy right there. Okay.
10 wounds on your own turn is a bummer.
Yeah. What a good play from both players here. Then we have a pass from Bob. Doesn't want to give up a point. And then
I'm thinking at this point that unit's toast, so I don't need to do anything to it, right? I can just
right.
Which for new players and even players like me who've played a bunch of games, never underestimate how Greyjoys can go from 2 wounds to 8. The amount of healing available in the deck and through some of the unit abilities is just unbelievable. So I think this unit still ends up dying, but later you'll see the Reavers get down, and I'm thinking, all right, I have both units available to me now. And again, Balon, suddenly, because of Balon's ability is so strong, you almost want to choose the order in which things die, or else, the unit that you don't want to come back to life will just come straight back to life. You'll lose your activation economy. And so I end up not killing the other unit because I'm trying to basically pop 2 units 2 turns in a row to make Balon less effective. A mistake. You should just take it when you can.
And,
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think that was a mistake? And
Yeah.
So,
and as far as Amon goes, sorry, real
Especially
quick.
because again, the units heal back so easily. So 2 wounds become 7 in 2 turns with Greyjoys. It's crazy.
yeah. So
Yeah.
if he had killed the trappers, that'd mean an attack, and they're in range for Theon 2 Sentinels. So that gives him what he needs to just slam back into Sander and actually get a good roll and kill him. So I really didn't care about the trappers being hit. Asha getting hit would have been bad, but I had what is dead, so she would have lived most likely. And again, it's still more Sentinel. So
Now I'm attacking the Reavers.
yeah, you're attacking the Reapers. That,
Oh, the Reapers. And you got him down to 1 wound.
yeah, got
This
all
is
the way down
not-
to-
So again, I'm thinking I don't need to kill the other unit. It's dead anyways. I'll charge into them with that unit over there. I'll get a nice surge forth. And so in front of me, I wanted to hit the Reapers rather than polishing off that unit.
Almost
this does
got him.
get Theon his Sentinel.
Then Theon does a sentinel maneuver.
Yep.
And then you use your activation to charge in.
And now he's tripled up.
Yeah, and then this, I think this. Oh, you still have cards. You pass your panic.
Yeah.
So he gets him down to 3 wounds. Passes panic.
And,
And then-
even in the rear, there's still a 7 up, which is better than 50% odds. So one of the
Yeah.
great things about Night's Watch is it just panics so well.
Yep. And then Bob charges in, takes care of the trappers.
Yeah, I didn't feel like saving them. It would have been an 8 up to save on the panic, so didn't even bother.
I might have the. Is Jokin 2 points, so it should be six unit points destroyed. I gotta fix that.
Yeah.
Crossbows are shooting.
Yeah,
'cause
from
they get a free shot.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
That
so
inter-
you're
that
doing
interrupts.
4 my surge forth. Yeah, I got it.
Yep. So Surge Forth is now there, or I think you changed your mind.
Yeah, I wanted to stay in line of sight of both the crossbows and the units.
Yeah. So you're right there at the end of the Surge Forth. All right, and then we have
horses for a we do not sow.
So Sander took 4 hits that round. Hard to come back from that.
You could have made sure that you were going to get in the deployment zone by realigning, but you
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, I had full confidence in Theon. He's a fast boy.
Okay. Or maybe you were just trying to touch the edge. Maybe that's what the conversation was. I don't know, but it seemed like you just barely made it into the deployment zone there for that mission card. And then a pivot from the other units, and then Bob is marching up his other guys, and he was also trying to figure out how to touch the deployment zone, but he was out by like an inch and a half, I think. Yeah. And then we have a pass from Balon, and that is the round. And the score goes to 5-5. And the first player becomes Bob.
Well, so the score was 4-5.
Yeah,
And
it's
then I
worth it.
score, and then I play the first player card, and I get to go first again.
Oh, that's right. Okay. 4-5. And then you play first. Okay. And then Mitchell plays the revenge mission.
Yeah, I played the bounty card.
Yeah, because he knows that he's got a unit in the danger zone.
Yeah,
Oh, the one wound left. That's right. Okay.
And now this is
this is the moment right here.
this is the pivotal round, right? Like
Yeah.
this is the round that I think decided the game. Mitchell, you tell me if you disagree, but I feel like at this point it was anyone's game, right? Because you have Balon still available, but your Reapers are so low on health, and if I pop them as well, then suddenly that Balon back is less impactful. But I felt like at this point it was still anyone's game.
But I'd like to share a quick just re-utterance.
Right, 5-5, like coming right into round 5 or whatever this is. Like this.
Yeah.
Is,
5-5. This is round 4. This is definitely the round.
And is this a failed charge?
Yeah, this is the failed
This
charge.
is the big. It was a 2-up charge.
You up? Yeah. So you have this tray here, which definitely dies on an attack, right? And this is single dice, major fail point, right? But if I connect with that unit there, it dies. Maybe Mitchell plays what is dead, whatever. But he's using resources. Now that unit's activated, and again, if he uses what is dead against my list, if he goes to attack, he's going to take a counter hit, and that unit's just going to die again, right? So now he's like, okay, well, I kind of have to just retreat with this unit because I'm engaged. I don't want to attack or else he'll die. Or I will attack, and then I'm activating that unit, and when he Balons, he's activated when he comes back, which is a huge benefit versus coming back unactivated. So there's just 1,000 good things that would have happened for me if I don't miss a shot.
Crossbow shots coming to the flank, and then right about here.
But mind you, right now, the vows I have at least the vow that has me heal 1 when I pass panic check. And I might even have shields on him. I can't remember, but 2 like really good vows. Or no, it's +1 to morale. So he's a 4-up morale check. And heal 1 on pass morale. So basically every time I get an attack, unless something really weird happens, I'm healing 1 back. And you'll see here that something really weird happens. Which again, now that Asha unit suddenly from being dead is now back in a zone where it's harder to kill.
Now Asha can swing and probably not die.
So it's the crossbow shot.
Yep, crossbow shot.
So I think I lose 2 wounds from the attack. And then it was a Snake Eyes crit fail on the panic. So
Yeah, it looks like 3 and 3, 6 total. Gone.
plus the vet, right? So what should have been 2 wounds, right? 3 from the attack, healing back the 1. He's on a 4-up panic save, make it a 5 because it's in the flank. But you pass 5s, 8 out of 10 times or better. And so to take a 2 wound, what should have been a 2 wound attack into a 6 wound attack plus losing the vows was just, then the game I think shifts right here. Missing that charge, and then 2 turns later, having Alistair basically be in the kill zone, and having his Asha unit be more or less healthy. That was it. And so not to say that like it all boiled down to luck. Mitchell, if anyone knows,
We're out the highlights. It's all good.
Mitchell's one of the best players in the country. So
I'm trying to find out here. See if I can catch it. I don't think you do. So you have the big tokens. So there was it looks like there was an option to use Ravenflock and you didn't, or is that maybe a thing? Yeah, it looks
I don't remember, but typically I save Ravenflock for when I'm able to use Counter-Strike with it. And again, I'm thinking I should be fine, right? Like he's going to take some hits here. I'll heal back a little bit and shouldn't be a problem, right?
Yeah.
So, again, could have chosen to use Ravenflock, or maybe I even did. I just didn't put the token down. I don't remember. But yeah, that plus the mischarge were pivotal moments in the game.
Yeah. And now I'm looking at cleanup.
Yeah.
Just taking his units down 1 by 1.
Okay. We have a charge by Bob in the side of the crossbows. Now this is, this could be really bad. I don't know if it was a bad roll. Oh, it was a 2. Okay, so the charge dice is good.
And this, by the way, unit also has Vicious. It has the Recruiter on it, so it's a Vicious flank charge on this unit. And it takes them pretty good.
Oh, I thought that was the Alistair unit. My bad.
No, Alistair unit was the one that failed the panic check.
Oh, come on, Commander. So here's wounds. We have quite a good amount of damage.
And so, by the way, at this point, I know, right, Alistair's dead. And there's no coming back at this point, right? Because no matter what I kill next, essentially, even if I could kill the Reapers, they're Baloned back. And I'm still, outpaced in a way that's uncomebackable. So this game is sort of over, and you're just trying to figure out, can you get lucky with the shot? Can you keep the victory down to a minor instead of a crushing, that kind of stuff, right? But,
I mean, not in my head. I mean, you're probably right. The odds say so. But like, you have cold hands here that can finish the crossbows off. I mean, there's things.
I think I tried to, and I think it doesn't quite make it. He's sitting on a tree there, if I remember. And so Cold Hands has to charge the front. It can't quite get anywhere else. My hope is that I would get close to popping that unit and have that unit still be available to surge forth and be in the game still, rather than like off in no man's land.
Yeah. And then we have the charge in. I think this is where that order comes down. You use Raven Flock on this charge. And then the tray goes.
No, I'm pretty sure I used Makoro on this one.
This is where Makoro. So take a second. We're pretty much done here. If you want to wrap up, I think some people don't realize the beauty of Makoro. Do you want to?
Yeah. So I really wanted this unit dead. I didn't want him to interact with me at all. So it's like, all right, I've got Theon. He's not weakened. I've got rerolls. I'm going to panic him. He's going to be vulnerable or something. I can kill him as long as he has no interaction. So I pop Makoto. Can't do anything. And so I slam in, 4's up, and I get enough rolls, and he dies.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. He's out of the
once
brawl.
per game. The once per game ability is just really phenomenal for finishing off a unit. And just as a icing on the cake, you can use his other ability pretty well in your list. Have you done that before?
I have. Usually things don't die that fast, so and it takes taking a zone, so it's only in real edge cases. But yeah, I can bring back Jokin into a unit in case, because trappers usually die. And then, hey, now you can't attack this unit without being shot. Or I'll bring back Asha if she died. Now I've got gang up somewhere else, probably in Theon's unit.
That's pretty annoying. Yeah. And then we have pretty much cleanup here. There goes Cold Hands.
At this point, there's nothing else to really mention other than I think when Cold Hands dies the second time, it's worth mentioning. By that time, I had known the game was basically over, and I'm trying to figure out if it makes sense for me to try and keep it to a minor victory. And so I was doing some dancing with Cold Hands, but again, Balon hadn't been used all game. Crowns was open. And so instead of taking Crowns, he just Balons his unit back to life, does a charge to Cold Hands to take him out and get the crushing. But otherwise, I think it would have been a minor or maybe a standard. Either way, it was still a really, really great game.
Yeah, it looks like, and it's interesting how when the tide turns, so does the Night's Watch Valor, because this charge from Asha comes in, and you take 5 wounds and a crit fail panic, 8 wounds off of a single charge there.
Yeah,
it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Again, you have a unit that panics on 5s, 6s in the flank. You should be passing those 7 out of 10 times, but 2. But this time that crit fail almost didn't matter, right? Because the game was so skewed at that point. It probably would have prevented the crushing if he would have stayed alive or not crit failed and stayed alive a little longer. But ultimately the game was over. So that unlucky roll wasn't as impactful, although it is weird to see Night's Watch getting 2 crit fails in a game with all the...
Well, that actually wasn't a crit fail. It was only 3 dice because it's Reaper, or only 3 wounds because it's Reaper. They add a wound. It's Theon coming later, and that crit fail kills you with 4 additional panic wounds.
Yeah, so just panic fails all over the place. My veterans were maybe not as experienced as they claim to be on their resumes.
Right.
Reapers are scary, man.
They are. And then we have the swords from Amon, heal up and take out the crossbows there.
Yeah, but that Trinity of Sentinel.
And then a Sentinel, which is funny because, like, if I were to just narrate this game, I'm so glad you guys are here, because I would keep forgetting that these charges and moves and stuff aren't activations, or I'd be like, how is he getting so many turns? It's just Sentinel all the time.
And this is, by the way, a bad play by me here, because now Cold Hands is out of Ravenflock range. So I should have moved him in earlier. And so now that unit's taking a ton of damage, and I can't Ravenflock to help him stay alive.
Yeah, and then there's the crit fail too, because you were at 9 wounds, and I dealt 5 with my attack, and then the crit fail makes you take 4 wounds. So not
forgot about
9 wounds.
So that's pretty wild. So another massive panic fail there. That's wild. I forgot about that third one.
And then so you put you take the horse down, I believe. I kind of just stopped tracking.
Yeah, like I said, at this point, there's really nothing left to do. He's up by so many points. My goal here, the card selected this round is engaged with the unit with more ranks. And so, the hope was that I just got to 6 from killing the crossbows. And then if I engage him with a unit, with cold hands in the center token, it will prevent him from scoring center point. I will score for engage with more ranks, and final score ends up being 7-9 or something like that.
Yeah, I think you had cold hands deployed before those vets died, so you were trying to save them and finish that unit off, and then the tactic changed to engaging the center.
Yes, he was going to score 2 from the center. So the strategy was all good, except again, Balon says, "Hey, I'm here to do one last thing."
Yeah.
Cold Hands comes to Asha.
Cold Hands comes in because I think it was impossible to charge that unit. Yeah,
I blocked it off.
So then he's like, "All right, well, we'll try to swing there," and he does, and takes.
And I paid on back to trappers, and I charge Cold Hands in the rear.
And there's the handshake right there.
And I think the thing here to remember again, I'm not feeling super threatened by that unit because I'm like, it's just trappers. Even cold hands can take a hit from trappers. But again, gang up, sneaky ability gang up. Suddenly units that you think, they're not going to do anything, suddenly are doing enough wounds to, be a threat. So that was just a lesson learned there. But, ultimately my end game could have been a little better. I could have just run cold hands, into the center of the board or something and kept them safe. But either way, Mitchell got a nice handy victory there. And like I said, I think up until that round 4 and a couple of missed opportunities, I felt like it was a very good game.
I think so. I definitely think so.
It's a very cool matchup, right? You have Counter-Strike, Disrupt, Weaken Tokens, versus tons of gang up, mitigating that, and lots of free attacks. Like, I think these two lists were very complementary, or the two sides of the same coin to some degree, and it was a very, I felt it was a really good game.
Yeah, it was a great game.
Yeah, from a different perspective than one of the players, really love this. I mean, we have an update coming in 10 days from this audio recording, and I think this is just such a nice highlight of the end of season 5 with 2 fantastic players of our local community, and I think in the community in general. Very strong players and very strong lists, and coming down to Fresno for pretty much welcoming a bunch of new beginners into the community tournament, which was fantastic. It was a great time, and then we have this just awesome showdown. So it was just really great that I could get this on tape and have you guys here to talk about it. Any final thoughts from you guys?
No, just big thanks to the Fresno crew. They have a great community out there, and it's fun to. Even from Sacramento, it's a bit of a drive, but doable, and it was fun to go out there and do a little carpool and do a day game. And so, big thanks to the Fresno team, and of course, big thanks to Mitchell as always being a very formidable opponent.
Well, I just want to thank you for driving me to be better every game. I don't think I would be where I am without you.
Every hero needs a villain. I'm not sure which is which, but
No, we are rivals.
Yeah, we are friendly rivals.